Coming up on Channel 8 Eyewitness News live at noon, rain's in the forecast and a flash flood watch is just going into effect for the valley. We're live with the information you need to know.
A pedestrian was hit and killed on the freeway overnight.
And we're hearing from the NBA commissioner today about a scandal that's rocking pro basketball.
This is Channel 8 Eyewitness News at noon in high definition.
Good afternoon. Thanks for joining us. It is a humid day in the Las Vegas Valley.
And that humidity lets us know that rain can be on the way. A flash flood watch has just gone into effect. Sherry Swentz in the Weather Center with the latest look at what's happening. Sherry.
Yeah, a lot of moist, unstable air out there and the potential to grow some thunderstorms today that could produce some very heavy rainfall and some flash flooding is there. So that's why the National Weather Service issued that flash flood watch, meaning the conditions are right. A warning is that it's imminent and that flooding is happening. A watch just puts us all on alert that the conditions are right for something to get cooking this afternoon and cause potential dangerous flooding. We see the clouds growing out there. Again, we've got a lot of moisture in place. Overnight, we had some thunderstorms that hit the valley, even dropped nearly about a half an inch of rain and a couple of rain gauges with the Regional Flood Control District registered 2/3 of an inch in the southwest part of town. Right now, as we look across southern Nevada, you see all the areas of green. Those are the flash flood watch areas, and that flash flood watch will stay in effect until this evening because that's about as typically how long thunderstorms will last. As we look into Arizona, you can see it's boiling and bubbling up down there, and those thunderstorms are slowly creeping our way. And because they're slow movers, that has a lot to do with why we expect some very heavy rain with some flooding conditions. We'll talk more about it in your neighborhood weather forecast and look out over the next 7 days. Gary, Charlotte?
Thank you, Sherry. We will be keeping our eyes on the forecast with Sherry, and as she said, monsoon season is here, so all of us need to be aware flash flooding is a real possibility in the desert.
Certainly is. No matter how long you've lived here, it is still easy to get caught off guard by a flash flood. Eyewitness News is live. Aaron Drawhorn is near the Upper Flamingo Detention Basin. That's near Durango and Hacienda, and they saw a lot of water there, the rain overnight last night, right?
That's exactly right, Gary. A lot of this water has dried up. We still have some standing water out here. Skywitness 8 above the scene this morning. We're told at one point overnight the water level in the basin was at 5 feet. We haven't seen levels like that in a long time. The rain came down hard and heavy. We haven't seen rain, a measurable amount at least, in several months in the valley. But drivers late last night near Sahara and Durango saw the wet stuff really come down. Besides the downpour, if you were up late last night, the valley was treated to quite a lightning display. Mother Nature put on quite a show in the sky. It was a sight to see. We haven't seen any severe flooding yet. But as you know, living here, this weather can turn extreme in just minutes. The Flood Control District has spent millions of dollars on detention basins like this one and channels, and they work. That's why we haven't seen catastrophic flooding like we have in years past. But the threat is still very real and a concern. Clogged storm drains can create a lot of trouble. They can create this effect right over here. We're here at a dead-end road near Durango and Hacienda. Water this morning still at a standstill this afternoon. We checked with Clark County Public Works this morning. They say they haven't had any major troubles, just doing their regular maintenance. Hopefully we will get the amount of rain we need, just not too much rain. This problem right here may not necessarily be a clogged gutter. It appears to me just to be bad drainage because we're on a dead-end road. Gary?
All right, Aaron. If you have a storm drain in your area and it's clogged, if you see things in it, what should you do?
Well, you've heard of neighborhood watch programs. I was talking to Sherry earlier this morning. Well, how about a neighborhood flood watch? If you see something, some debris, and you can get it out yourself, do that because that could prevent your neighborhood from getting flooded out. If the problem is bad enough, you can call the Regional Flood Control District. They'll send a crew over. You see the number there on your screen, 455-3139. Back to you.
Good advice there, Aaron. Thank you. We have all the information you need about how to stay safe during a flash flood on our website, LasVegasNow.com.
A 19-year-old Henderson man is dead after a shooting this morning at Roadrunner Park. It's near Boulder Highway and Racetrack. Police say the victim was killed after being involved in a confrontation with a group of people. They say that several suspects fired at the teen. All of the suspects took off. If you have any information about this shooting, you're asked to please call Henderson Police. A deadly car crash caused a major traffic tie-up at I-15 in Blue Diamond this morning. The Nevada Highway Patrol says a 40-year-old man was walking in the northbound fast lane of the freeway at about 3:40 a.m. The driver of a cement truck traveling northbound says he tried to avoid the man, but there was not enough time. The victim died at the scene. A man accidentally released from the Las Vegas City Detention Center is back behind bars. 59-year-old Charles Rutherford was found at an apartment believed to be his girlfriend's. He was mistakenly ID'd earlier as another inmate who was supposed to be released, so he was released. Officials are now looking into how this mistake happened.
Truck driver who caused a deadly pileup on I-15 last year will spend a minimum of 4 years behind bars. Crash happened when Milson Oliveira Fijo slammed his big rig into cars that were slowing down because of road construction. 4 people died. Several others were injured in that November accident.
The NBA commissioner is now speaking out about the referee scandal. It's a big one. A referee may have intentionally influenced the outcome of games that he worked on and also may have bet on. Karen Brown reports.
Image is everything for the NBA, so when one of its referees is investigated for gambling on games he officiated, it's immediately a public relations crisis.
This is the most serious situation and worst situation that I have ever experienced.
13-year veteran referee Tim Donaghy is the person at the center of all this. He recently resigned and is expected to surrender to authorities in the coming days. But the NBA isn't waiting to address the tough questions about when and what the league knew of the ref's alleged gambling.
There's been some speculation that we knew that Donaghy was betting this season and nevertheless let him work. That's not true.
Many here outside of Madison Square Garden know that both legal and illegal gambling on NBA games is big business, and a referee could easily influence the outcome of a close game by calling fouls in key situations.
Players say it's a sensitive matter.
It's a hard pill to swallow, but it's just the reality of the matter, and we as basketball players, all we can do is just go out and play hard.
The probe covers games Donaghy worked during the past 2 seasons. He reportedly had a gambling problem and may have been approached by low-level organized crime associates. Analysts are examining the outcomes of the games he worked and say some of the numbers show unusual trends. And while none of that has been proven, it is still an embarrassing situation for the NBA and one that might threaten the league's future credibility. Karen Brown, CBS News, New York.
Police are asking for your help in finding a man wanted in connection with 6 check-cashing store robberies. The latest one happened on June 26th when the man went into a store on Valley View near Twain. Police say the suspect asked the clerk how much it would cost to send money to Mexico. While the employee was looking away, the man pulled out a gun and demanded money. If you have any information about the case or you know who this man is, you're asked to call Crime Stoppers at 385-5555.
Mother Nature is giving a helping hand to firefighters across northern Nevada. Last night, low winds and higher humidity helped to slow a fast-moving fire. The Murphy Complex is the largest group of brush fires. It's burning near the Nevada-Idaho border. The fires there burned more than 560,000 acres already. The Murphy Complex is just 20% contained. The other large wildfire is the Winnicup Complex fire near Elko. It's blackened more than 200,000 acres. It's about 20% contained as well.
Firefighters in Utah are gaining some ground on some of the fires burning there. A blaze in and around Zion National Park is now 81% contained. Evacuation orders for some parts of the park have been lifted, but more than a dozen homes are threatened by that one. In central Utah, the Salt Creek fire is only about 20% contained. Fire is burning near Fountain Green. Some small areas are still under evacuation orders there as well.
The Democratic presidential hopefuls made history last night in a first-of-its-kind internet-inspired debate. We'll show you.
And actress Lindsay Lohan is in trouble again, arrested overnight for drunk driving and more. We'll have the latest on her troubles.
You're watching Channel 8 Eyewitness News at noon with Gary Waddell and Charlotte Evans, the first and only local news in HD.
The 8 Democratic presidential candidates faced off in a first-of-its-kind debate. The questions for the presidential hopefuls came from the popular internet site YouTube. People from all across the country and around the world submitted these video questions. They ranged from the serious to the strange. Same thing with the answers. Now, this YouTuber asked, how race plays a role in politics.
Whenever I read an editorial about one of you, the author never fails to mention the issue of race or gender, respectively. Either one is not authentically black enough, or the other is not satisfactorily feminine.
I do believe in the core decency of the American people, and I think they want to get beyond some of our racial division.
You know, may be able finally to break that hardest of all glass ceilings.
This debate took place on the campus of the Citadel. The Republican presidential candidates will be facing off in a YouTube co-sponsored debate as well, and theirs is set for September. Hollywood film star Lindsay Lohan has been arrested again. It happened overnight in Santa Monica. Police arrested the 21-year-old actress on suspicion of drunk driving and also possession of cocaine after receiving calls about a car chase in a parking lot. Lindsay Lohan is already facing DUI charges in Beverly Hills. Police say she was driving on a suspended license too. Lindsay Lohan recently finished a second stint in rehab for substance abuse. She was released on a $25,000 bail.
Nevada Department of Corrections officer accused of smuggling drugs into prison was in court this morning. Patrick Aching is charged with 3 felony counts of trying to buy drugs and bring them to the prison. He was arrested in a sting operation. Aching worked as a corrections officer since 2005.
A building in Portugal came crashing down minutes after it was ordered evacuated. We've got the amazing pictures to show you.
And the cost of your daily caffeine kick is going up. Starbucks is raising prices. We'll tell you about the increase when we come back.
You're watching Channel 8, home of the award-winning I-Team. Only on Channel 8 Eyewitness News.
Now, this was not something they planned for. Witnesses in Portugal watched in fear as a building suddenly fell to the ground. You saw a cloud of dust covered people as they scampered from the rubble. Building officials say that this structure collapsed only minutes after it was ordered evacuated. Fortunately, they had the evacuation and nobody was hurt.
Former Las Vegas City Councilman Michael McDonald, the next target of the G-Sting political corruption probe. Channel 8 I-Team reported exclusively last night that a federal grand jury has issued subpoenas to McDonald's business associates. McDonald admitted years ago that he accepted consulting fees from former strip club owner Mike Gallardi, but says he reported the money legally and abstained from voting on issues involving Gallardi. Today on Face to Face, 2 legal experts questioned the timing of the subpoenas.
Perhaps it's an attempt to sort of put one more politician's neck or head on the wall, if you will, based upon not necessarily a conviction for public corruption, but let's say something like a tax count.
Government names you as a subject or as a target. You know, they have an orchestrated plan. This isn't something that came up last week or 2 weeks ago.
You can watch the entire interview today on Face to Face with John Ralston on our sister station, Las Vegas 1, cable channel 19. New report out says it could cost more than $3 billion to transport nuclear waste to Yucca Mountain if that dump site is opened. The estimate from the Department of Energy is up from the $2 billion it projected just a year and a half ago. Cost is for a rail line to bring the waste to the site. The project is still years away from being built. The government plans to submit a license application to the Nuclear Regulatory Commission for the dump site itself in the middle of next year.
Drinking soda could put you at a higher risk for heart disease, according to a new study. The study says people who drink 1 or more soft drinks a day have more than a 50% chance of developing metabolic syndrome. It's a cluster of symptoms which can increase your risk for heart disease. Findings show that diet soda drinkers also are at risk. The study can be found in Circulation, the Journal of the American Heart Association. Well, you'll want to get ready to pay a little more for your caffeine fix. Starbucks announced it's increasing beverage prices 9 cents in most stores. The company cites rising costs of dairy products as the primary reason. The increase will apply to coffee, lattes, frozen frappuccinos, and some even of the tea-based drinks. The change is scheduled to take place July 31st.
9 cents. Huh?
9 cents.
Yeah. Fast-moving floodwaters are causing problems in parts of Arizona. Look at these pictures. We'll show you a dramatic rescue from a car caught in rushing waters.
And could something like that happen here? It certainly is possible. Sherry Swensk has your neighborhood weather forecast coming up next.
More than 300,000 people in western England are still without fresh water because of massive flooding there. Weeks of rain knocked out power to thousands of homes and left hundreds more submerged. Emergency workers have been able to restore power to several thousand homes and businesses. British officials are calling it the worst flooding in 60 years, and the forecast calls for more rain. A woman had to be pulled to safety from raging floodwaters yesterday near Tucson. The woman and her husband were trying to cross a flooded highway when the water carried their car away. Firefighters used a harness and a crane to pull the woman from the top of the car. Her husband was able to swim to shore to safety.
Channel 8 Neighborhood Weather with Sherry Swintz.
Oh, how many times this time of year do we ask people don't try to cross flooded roads, intersections, highways, dry washes, because dry washes can fill up quickly with some heavy rainfall, and it hits quickly and it runs fast. We've got some good thunderstorm clouds building up out there. They're on their way to being those cumulonimbus clouds that are just growing and growing, and eventually will open up and drop some water. Looks like right now mostly over the mountains, but we got a lot of action coming up from Arizona we'll look at in just a minute. The clouds we've had so far have kind of kept a lid on temperatures. Again, we're only up to about 90 degrees at the lunch hour, but check out the humidity. We're all juiced up out there, and we've got over 50% humidity in a few neighborhoods, over 70% out at Red Rock, where they had really good rain last night with those thunderstorms that hit. As we take a look at rainfall amounts from last night into the overnight hours, if we could go back, I'm sorry, wanted to check out the neighborhoods first. We did have anywhere from 2/100 of an inch to even close to 1/4 of an inch in the northwest and east sides of town. Just various amounts scattered all over the valley depending on your neighborhood. Now the southwest part of town was one of those areas that got hit the hardest last night. About 10 o'clock we picked up about 4/10 of an inch of rain down the southwest corner of the valley. So did have some good rainfall. Lohan got a little rain early this morning after daybreak, nearly 1/10 of an inch. It's 95 degrees down the river right now. Alrighty, now let's check the official rainfall total. The good news is we actually added some rain to our official rain bucket, about 1/4 of an inch of rain. Since January, we've only had now like 1/2 an inch, and normally we should have about 2.62. So we're still over 2 inches behind, but we might be able to make up a little of that deficit as we get through the week. Some other neighborhoods that had a lot of rainfall, the rain gauges, Fort Apache and Grand Canyon, 2/3 of an inch of rain last night. Red Rock Basin, this is the detention basin out on the west side by Red Rock, 2/3 of an inch, and Warm Springs and Jones picked up about 0.59. So isolated areas do have the potential for getting a thunderstorm cell that opens up, sits over your area, and the rest of the valley just hardly gets anything. Today we've got a mixed bag of sunshine and clouds leading to showers and thunderstorms. We have some extra energy in the air too to trigger some storms, and they're going to be slow movers with some very heavy rainfall. So the National Weather Service has issued flash flood watches, not warnings, but watches, meaning conditions are right, the potential is there for some flash flooding. As we're watching all these areas of green, that seems to be the path of the monsoon moisture building up those thunderstorms today. So all that humid air in place, and it's deep moisture too. We don't see much of anything to get rid of it anytime soon. Today seems to be one of the better opportunities, though, to get some of that heavy rain. And as we look down into Arizona, you can see we're already starting to see some of those cells becoming orange and red with some heavy rainfall, lightning, and possibly even some hail and very gusty winds. Always dangerous out at the lake when we get those kinds of conditions, especially, but anywhere really. As we look across the next 7 days, we do stand a chance for some afternoon and evening thunderstorms mainly until Friday, and then a slight chance as we get into the weekend. Really nothing that's going to change this pattern for a while and scour out that moisture so we stay hot, humid. Today looks like a pretty good chance for some heavy rain, so that's why we've got the flash flood watch.
Okay. We'll be checking in with you.
All right.
Sherry, thank you.